Thanks for watching 3dmotive.com. My name is Tyler, and in this video we're going to be creating a skydome for use in an environment. This video is intended for beginner or intermediate levels. It assumes that you're pretty comfortable doing basic modeling inside of 3ds Max and manipulating textures in Photoshop. Now, as you can see here, this is kind of the final effect of what we'll be doing today. We're going to be creating a skydome with the intent to fake some atmosphere, clouds, and even a bit of a horizon line. Now, you could get a little more in-depth and you could do things like panning clouds. We could even add a lens flare, say for example where our sun's at, that sort of thing. But today we're going to talk about the meat of the subject, which is just creating this skydome that we can start out with. Now, this actual mesh would probably be placed at the origin of your environment and scaled up to encompass all of geometry. So if you were standing in the environment and you looked out, you would see this nice sky, this backdrop, etc. So the first thing we need to do in Photoshop, we need to find a panorama image. And this is a very, very simple image taken of a sky that is a complete 360-degree view. So from edge to edge, it'll wrap and tile perfectly. This can be taken with a special camera, or what I would recommend is finding one of these online. Lots of texture sites will have these, maybe even Google you could find something. So this particular image I've chosen because it has a sun in it. And as I mentioned before, I'll be using the placement of the sun to place a lens flare in my environment later on. It's also got some interesting cloud detail going on and some very, very simplistic horizon line stuff. There's no city, there's no buildings or anything that might detract from what I'm trying to do. So this skydome is very flexible. So first and foremost, we need to take this panorama and we need to kind of mold it into something that's going to be much easier to UV map to our sphere. To start, we need to adjust the size. So go to Image, Image Size. You can also use Alt-Control-I to bring up this dialog. You'll see I already have constrained proportions checked off by default. This is going to let me adjust my width and height independently. So for width, we're going to set it to 1024, and for height, we'll do the same. So it'll give us a nice square image. You can see there's some stretching, and now the sun is now oblong, but that's okay. We're going to fix that right now. Even this square texture would still be pretty difficult to map to a sphere, so we're going to use a filter inside of Photoshop to create a spherical image out of this texture. So we'll go ahead and go to Filter, Distort, and we'll use Polar Coordinates. And Polar Coordinates is going to use the very center of our image and map this to an actual sphere. So if we zoom out of our preview here, you can see what it's doing. So go ahead and hit OK. Now we've got a spherical image that's super, super easy to map to our skydome. You can see now our sun is circular again, our clouds are flowing nicely, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do Save As. And we'll just say this guy is sky_CLR. And type, I'm going to change to Targa. Go ahead and hit Save. 24 bits is sufficient. Hit OK. So now we've got a texture ready to map. Next thing we need to do is actually create our skydome model. This is pretty straightforward. So we'll go ahead and open up 3ds Max. You can see here we're starting at a very, very basic Max file. We're going to go ahead and choose Sphere from the Create panel. And we'll go ahead and left click and drag out a sphere. I'm going to go ahead and hit J on my keyboard to get rid of our bounding box. I'm going to hit G to get rid of the grid, and F4 to turn on edge faces. All this stuff can kind of be done from here. Edge faces turned on, etc. So a sphere is a good starting point, but we really need a hemisphere for our skydome. We've got a couple options. This particular one, let's go ahead and convert this to editable poly. I'm going to go ahead and go to face mode. And from the side here, I'm just going to kind of roughly select the bottom half of our mesh. And we'll go ahead and delete that out. So now we've got a hemisphere. It looks pretty good. We need to make a couple adjustments before we start UV mapping it. If we take a look at our final effect here, you can see it's not a perfect dome. It's actually been kind of squashed down on the Z a little bit. The idea here is when you're inside of our skydome, we want the sky to feel like it's panning overhead. We don't want it to feel so much like it's actually going up into a dome. We do want some nice curvature around the edges, so we're not going to squash it too much. So let's go ahead and go back to 3ds Max. By default, the uniform scale is turned on, so let's go ahead and left click and hold down, and we'll grab non-uniform scale. This will let us scale independently on all of these axes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Z, and we're going to scale it down. I don't know, right around 70 is probably fine. If we just right-click on this, we can see how much it's been scaled. So about 70% is fine. This will give us kind of that nice, nice squash look, and make sure our clouds and stuff look correct. So next thing we need to do is actually bring in our material and apply it to our mesh so we can see what we're doing when we UV map it. I'm going to go ahead and press M on the keyboard, and that's going to bring up our material window. Let's go ahead and drag and drop our first material slot onto our skydome. And next to our diffuse, let's go ahead and pick our bitmap. So here's the sky color target file we just created in Photoshop. It's spherized and ready to go. Go ahead and hit open. You can see we don't quite see it just yet, so let's go up the stack. Let's make sure Show Our Map and Viewport button is on. Alright, we'll go ahead and close the material window because we no longer need that. So for the most part, our model is done. There are some things that we need to address a little bit later, but the biggest thing right now is the UV mapping. It's completely off, so let's go ahead and fix that. In our modifier dropdown, let's go ahead and put an unwrap UVW on it. Now, if we look at our texture again in Photoshop, we can see it looks as if we've mapped our sphere from the top down. So in Photoshop, or in Max rather, let's do just that. I'm going to go ahead and go to our unwrap, select face mode, and hit Control A to select all of our faces. And next we're going to use quick planar. So in order to map directly from the top down, we're going to set our axis to Z, and we're going to do quick planar map. Now if I deselect faces and we just take a quick look, we can see already that our skydome is looking much, much better. Our sun is in the correct place, clouds are looking good, it looks great from the top down. The issue we'll note though is that from the sides there's a lot of stretching and distortion. So it should be pretty simple to fix though, and we're going to use the relax tool to do that. So with this selected, let's go ahead and scroll back up and we'll click on edit. Let me just go ahead and expand our UVW window. And real quick, we can see our UVs, our edges in particular, aren't too easy to see. So on our model, let's go ahead and change our wireframe color to white. Hit OK. Now those are much easier to see. I'm going to go ahead and select face mode again. All of our faces should be selected. If not, just drag a selection over them. So to fix the stretching, again, we're going to use the relax tool. And the relax tool, all it's really going to be doing is making sure that these UV faces are roughly the same size and proportion as the faces in our viewport, or in this case, vice versa. So let's go ahead and go to Tools, Relax. And with this dialog, there's a few options that we really care about. At the top here, Relax by Edge Angles is important. And we also want to check on Keep Boundary Points Fixed. So all we're going to do with that is essentially just want to ensure that our UVs stay inside this blue box here. We don't want our UVs to tile, we don't want our sky to tile or see any seams. So keep a look at this area right here, and we'll kind of watch the stretching dissipate over time. So we'll go ahead and click Apply Once, and already you can see stretching is starting to go away, and we'll just do this a couple more times. Just until you're happy. So in this case, I can see a pretty straight line on the horizon. The trees and stuff look somewhat correct. And it's alright if there's a little bit of warping and stretching here, because in general, when you're standing inside the sky dome, there's probably going to be things that are obstructing your view from the actual horizon line. It might be other in-game models, buildings, trees, that sort of thing. So pretty happy with our relax. Let's go ahead and close the relax tool window and collapse, and close our edit UVW, and then collapse the stack. So to do so, we're just going to right click on there, collapse all, and hit yes. So now our model is just about done. The last thing we need to take a look at here is you can see that all of our faces are facing outward. They're not facing inward. And since we're going to be inside the skydome, we need to fix that. So the simplest way is to go to face mode, Control A to select all of our geometry, and under edit polygons, just use the flip function. So now all of our faces will be pointing inward, which is exactly what we need. And we can see too, again, from the inside, all of our stretching is nearly gone. Our sun is nice and spherical again. Trees and tree lines and horizon look nice. So with this done, we would then export this to whatever package we're using it in. Maybe we're keeping it inside 3ds Max to build an environment, or maybe it's going to UDK. In this case, we'll take a look at our final in UDK again. And we can see here, this is the end result. Skydome looks great. We would place this again at the origin of our world, scale it up to encompass all of our geometry, and it would kind of create this fake atmosphere. We hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check more of our stuff out at 3dmotive.com. Thanks again.